Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Today is part 2 of my house art unboxing, and this box is destroyed because I ripped it apart and then I put stuff on top of it. But when it came in the mail, it looked absolutely lovely. You may remember last time we unboxed, let me just get the picture. Last time I unboxed this cute little birdie with the holly bush for Christmas in July, and I'm going to quickly show you how actually that painting is going. Just one sec. All right, so here is the Christmas in July, and you can see the holly bush really started to take shape. It's got a really nice like 3D look to it with the paint done now, and then just the bird that I had worked on in that video. So it's looking really good. I'm really happy now that the paint has dried. The numbers are really well hidden. I don't see any problems. I did put a second coat on a couple of the colors up here, but it looks really good, and there's no kind of bleed through of the numbers. This stain is just where I dropped the paintbrush when I was working on it. But it's looking really good, and I'm super impressed with the detail in the holly bush, and I think that's because I got the larger number of paints. I got 36 paints because, as you'll remember, you get a choice. So let's go over the next kit, and I'll kind of talk about the options as we look at this kit. So this kit is, let me just get this stuff out of the bag. All right, so this kit is the sunflower image, and here is the image. You can see it's a vase. This one is a really summery image. 2 or 3 really big, beautiful sunflowers in this kind of like rustic looking window. There's actually like a half-eaten apple or something. So it's just a really vintage look and feel to this picture. So this kit is the same as the last one. We have the map here. So if you already have put some paint on and it looks kind of wrong and you need to go back and check, you can check on the map. Or if you can't quite make out a number, you can look at it on the map. This piece of art does not have quite as small cells as the last one. As you can see, most of them are fairly big. We'll get a closer look at the canvas in a sec. So with house art, you can choose how many colors you want in your painting. So you can have 24, 36, or 48 colors. I chose 34 for my 2 paintings because I want it to be nice and detailed with a lot of variation in color, but not like to the point where it's difficult. And I think 48 colors might just be a little above my skill level. This kit also comes with those super nice paintbrushes. So these paintbrushes, I've been using them on the other kit. They're really nice. They're slightly better quality than the ones, well, they're much better quality than the ones that you get in the cheapo kits, but they are not that teeny tiny paintbrush that you get in the other kit. But actually, I found that even on the smallest sections in the kit, these paintbrushes have been just fine. All right, so looking at these colors, there's a lot of like greens and yellows. I wonder where this dark purple goes. That's kind of that must be like the darkest color is just a little bit purple rather than brown. I think that's really neat. That's gonna look interesting when it comes together. So there aren't too many areas in this canvas where you have really small cells. Like there's not a super concentrated area like in the other painting where the holly was super tiny. These all look fairly decent sized. The numbers all look big, very clearly legible. This is probably the smallest it gets, this number 4, and I can very easily read it. I'm not even close to the canvas with my eyes, so that's great. This one is gonna be very easy to read. I would like to just do a little bit of testing of the paints, and I'm going to try and pick a good area to test it on, and I will do a time lapse for that. right, I want to just point out what I'm doing here. So these paints are very like fluorescent and light. Yellows are often like this, very fluorescent. Greens like this one are often like this. They're extremely see-through. And you can see here what I did is I just put on one coat, and you can see the number 30 through so easily with just one coat. So what I've been doing is I've kind of been globbing the paint on, and the technique, if I were a real artist and this were a real painting, I would call this impasto, which is the texture of the paint. You'll see it in like oil paintings at the art gallery where the paint is put on really thick and you can see the brush strokes. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting in the paint on the paint in like kind of more globs, and I think in the end it will look fine. This is sort of a like I'm not artsy, so if I'm wrong, if I'm using my words wrong, please correct me in your head. But this kind of looks like an impressionist painting to me, and they often have, you know, a little bit of artistic license, and so I think this globby look is going to work well. It's more of a it's not a super like photorealistic painting, right? So I think this is gonna look okay. I think it's gonna suit the type of painting it is, and it's gonna cover up those numbers, which I don't think even a million coats of this paint would cover those numbers. Not these yellow and very light green. You know, you could use gesso to help you cover it up a little bit, but gesso is not gonna, it's not a miracle. Like gesso is a coating that you can put on the canvas before you start painting, and it grabs a little bit more of the paint, but it's not gonna fix this. It's not gonna fix paints that are this translucent. So as you can see, like you can see the number 30 absolutely perfectly, but if I kind of glob it on a bit, it covers it right up. So I'm gonna keep on globbing. I think before I decided to do this, I had put this yellow on, so I'll probably put a little bit more of that yellow on and keep going. So as you can see, I have almost finished that top flower. So the dark purple is really how they have rendered the photo into colors. So it's more of a purple than a brown. I guess I do see it being a little bit purpley in this image, so it makes sense. Although it does look a little bit odd when I'm first putting it on, but these pictures sometimes do look a little bit funny until you get further. So you can see the flower coming together. And I think once everything comes together, you'll be able to see. To give an analogy, one time my friends and I were putting together a jigsaw puzzle, and every single piece looked purple or pink. But then when you put it all together, it was a mountain scene, and there were cliffs and a campfire and a covered wagon, and even though everything had sort of a purpley pinky tinge to it, it all made sense as a coherent whole. So I hope that that kind of explains. I think that's what we're going to get here. So The one drawback with doing the globbing method, or if you want the more professional term, doing this with impasto, is that even for the colors that are covering better, you still have to maintain that technique. So even though I had to glob this color and this color to cover up the lines and the numbers, then I ended up needing to glob these darker colors just so that it wasn't all the light colors are globby, you know, so that the texture was more cohesive. And I think for this, what I will do is I will do the flowers in the globby technique, and then the background I will try to get away with just doing it as like a smooth, as long as the other colors are better covering. And I think they should, because really the flowers are the lightest, and then, you know, these background colors here, generally whites cover a little bit better. It's just yellows are just really bad at covering, and anything fluorescent or bright. So I think that as far as like paints and coverage go, I do prefer the colors that came on the first picture. This one here, because they are already a little bit darker, a little bit more opaque, and they were easier to work with. But this one is going to be stunning. Those yellows and those like neonish colors are really going to pop. So I think they're both going to look really good, but I think that the Christmas image is just going to be a little bit easier to complete. So all in all, I'm really impressed with oHouseart, how their kit comes together. So you'll remember this one came with the frame that fits the canvas perfectly. It came in 4 pieces that you just put together. The paints come on these really nice sturdy trays. I love these trays, and I'll be able to reuse those with other kits. The paints are very nice colors. I like the rendering of the photos. I like the fact that you can pick how many colors you want and how big you want your painting to be. I have not seen that before from other paint by number options. So I really like that. And their customer service was good. They were very pleasant. It was fast. And so I totally recommend oHouseart. I don't have any reason to not recommend it. And I think their kits are just like maybe one step up from the super cheap companies, where they've got the nicer brushes, the nicer paint trays, the map, the framing. So I really like them. All right, everybody, I'll put the links in the description below for both paintings and for oHouseart, and you can check out their images that they have available. All right, everybody, bye.